Hey everybody, Kevin Brief here. I had the pleasure of looking at everybody's audition tapes, and nice job all. This sounds very highfalutin and goofy, whatever, but it really is kind of a tiny heroic act to do something like that, honestly. I know you hear this before, it's just takes some bravery to put yourself out there like that, and it's true, it really is. Every time you go out as an actor for a job or an audition, chances are they're going to say no. I mean, that's kind of the default. So you got to, build up a good self-awareness, good self-esteem, and doing these kind of things leads you that way. So congratulations to everybody that submitted. Just a couple quick things, thoughts I have about comedy in general and self-taping specifically. When I look at a script for comedy, of course, there's a variety of comedies, sitcoms, a half-hour comedy, single camera, stand-up comedy, improv comedy. So they each actually take different little moments, different parts of your skill set, which I'll address more specifically when I'm directing folks that are in the program. But in general, comedy is, it's hard. You've heard the thing that dying's easy, comedy's hard. I don't know if that's true. Timing is essential, obviously. Understanding where the joke is essential. But it's also looking for other things in it, particularly when auditioning for it, because you want to grab attention. You want the auditionee, the auditioner, the auditor. Yeah, that's it. The auditor to catch their eye. When auditioning, I always look for a place where I can zig while everybody else is zagging. By that I mean, you can look at the thing and know, most people are going to do it like this. But where can I, do it like that? Particularly when auditioning, the only thing you can bring to an audition that nobody else in the world can is you. So tap yourself, find that moment of quirkiness, that moment of discovery, that moment of whatever that might set you apart. You don't know if it will. All you know is you can do your best work. Put it on the camera, send it in to somebody, and your job's done. You need to walk away and go, I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. A big part of comedy is misdirect, and by that I mean I'm going to do this, but actually I'm going to do that. And there's moments in most of the monologues I saw that you did not find that. Some people did. Look for those. That's a very common thing in writing of comedy. I call it the misdirect. Some people call it other things. I call it the misdirect. It's like, hey, blah, 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 blah. But he did this, whatever. It's like almost like a punchline, for lack of a better word. The industry standard is to shoot, if you're using a phone, is to shoot it horizontally, not vertically. So when you do your auditions, I think almost everybody did it vertically, and that's fine. We can see it, and for this process, it's fine. But professionally speaking, the industry standard is that. All right, and also, of course, good lighting, good sound. I was able to hear everybody pretty well. Some of the lighting was a little harder to see you. You want them to see you, okay? Most framing generally is going to be mid-chest. We can't see my chest. Mid-chest to just above the head. Okay, now that's just the basic industry standard. If you get other directions, do those. You whatever directions you get from the casting director, the director, whoever's sending out the casting notice, follow those directions. But in lieu of that not happening, that's the industry standard. So keep that in mind. Make sure you're lit well, and make sure they can hear you, and shoot horizontally. Okay. Anyway, so on to specifics.
You smell the air in the city, and you smell car exhaust and those fat, unhealthy pretzels that those vendors sell in Midtown. But here, it's all healthy. I can't wait to eat only healthy foods. What is tofu exactly? Well, we don't have to eat tofu, just vegetables and fish and maybe chicken. But not put butter on anything. Except maybe on a piece of bread with some sugar on it. You ever do that? My mother taught me to do it. Isn't it gross?
Isabella, love the naturalness of your audition. Very natural, felt real. That's important to me as an observer, as an actor watching other actors. natural is great, and you brought that to it, very much so. It was a lighter it was definitely a lighter piece, so that achieved the comedy thing. I think for the comedy of that, I would look for some kind of quirkiness within myself, and try to bring that as like something that bubbles underneath it, that gives it some more life than it might have had in the audition. Another tough part in auditions in general, and you had this moment, is when you're reacting to somebody else's line, when it's a monologue. So you gave that space. I wasn't sure if it sounded right to me for some reason. I don't know. So make sure it's like, oh, what is tofu? Oh, I'll tell you, as a you know. It's very specific to the line, and I apologize for that. So, in general, very, very natural, lovely take. To mind the comedy in it more, I would just try to tap some kind of more quirkiness and find moments in the script where that can happen.
And then, when it came time for me to get back rubs, he would never give them to me. And if he did, it would be on odd chance for like 30 seconds. And this one time, I broke both of my arms so badly that they both had to go in casts. And despite this, I still gave him back rubs because I was a good wife. And then the doctor told me that because of the prolonged use in my arms during the cast, I could have done permanent damage to my arms and I needed to stop, or else I'd get shooting pains for the rest of my life.
Hope was next. Hope engaged me right from the beginning. It was, first of all, clearly shot. And she just came in with a certain energy that just grabbed me. And that's you don't want to ramp up into these things when it's an audition. You want to be able to grab them initially, keeping it natural as best you can. And Hope did that. Hope, you found the misdirects that I was talking about earlier, which is really important for comedy. When they're written in there, you got to find them. And it was just a nice energy to what you brought to it. Once again, a naturalistic, in a kind of weird, quirky way of what was happening in your monologue, but it's all very natural, very simple, and it was very good. Nice job.
No. You gotta wait 3 days before you call a woman. It's just the rule. Jesus invented that rule. Yeah. Imagine if he'd only come back after 1 day. I mean, nobody would have time to even know that he was dead. People would be like, Jesus, what up? And he'd be like, what up? I died yesterday. And they'd be like, Jesus, you look pretty alive to me.
Evan, okay, great. Evan, first of all, too dark. Okay, just a basic thing, particularly for comedy. You might be able to get away with those shadows if it was a certain kind of drama thing, or you were trying to create the serial killer or whatever interrogation scene, but not for comedy particularly, and really not for self-tapes in general. I could only see about half your face, so you gotta light yourself better. It was all very natural. You felt like a real person to me, which is fantastic. I think I would like to have seen you up the stakes a little bit in this, and not that it made making this the life and death thing, but it's just it was a little laid back, which is fine because that was the natural part. But there's also something going on that he's trying to convince this guy, don't call the girl, So it's kind of, dude, I'm just doing not line reading, just dude, no, don't. We wait 3 days. I'll tell you why, and then you go with the explanation, and then once again find those the little misdirects. There's one with the Jesus moment in your monologue, where it's like, yeah, it's a fact. That's what Jesus said,
From this point on, according to rule number 72, we are never allowed to leave each other, except for the bathroom. It's awesome, because all my friends end up always leaving me, but you can't. Okay, favorite movie? Are you a Star Wars fan or a Star Trek fan?
Dennis, great energy. Boom, you're there. Very castable. Fun person, I can tell, which is fantastic. I think in general, it's a little too, for film and television, it was just a little too big. So I would find a way to make it a little more subtle, even though the situation you're in is kind of bizarre. But try to settle it, make the person a little more centered, more real. It felt a little like less real And that's a big thing for me. Believability. Do I believe this person is a person? Do I believe they exist? Do I believe what they're saying? And I think yours was just a little too pushed in that way. But the energy was fantastic. Your character, your personality comes through. Very, very charming. One note for you and a few other people. Keep the energy going until the camera cuts. I don't want to see you drop out of the moment. And this is true on a set when you're shooting anything. You keep going till they say cut. Even if you're improvising, if your other people drop lines, whatever. Keep the energy going out to the person, to the object, to the camera if you're talking to the lens. Keep it all going until the cut comes, okay?
She was dead before she hit the ground, I suspect, but I haven't buried her either. Been too sad about it. So I just stuffed her in the freezer. Now every time I go in to get a popsicle, I see her there and I just start crying again. To make matters worse, I sat down on my couch yesterday and I noticed there was a tear in it. I should probably get some thread and stitch it up, but you know, it'll only get bigger if I don't. It's like that thing that people say, a stitch in time. Something about a stitch in time.
Houston, once again, and this is for most everybody, really natural, very believable, and I love that. I do. It's the basis for a lot of stuff that we need to find in ourselves. But I'd like you to find, also much like Evans, you got to up the stakes a little bit of why you're telling us this, who you're telling it to. Another thing, you know, who are you telling this to, and why are you telling them? I mean, there's some real possibilities with this character that he's just like, you know, yeah, this happened. I probably have gangrene. You know, I mean, just everything bad that can happen to him is going to happen to him. That's what he's convinced of. Okay, so areas for misdirect there too. Find little mine the script for little gems of moments where you can bring your personality in a unique way. Give it some energy, give it some oomph. But I don't want it to come from that. I don't want it to come from, I'm just going to be faster and I'm going to be bigger and I'm going to be funnier. I want it to come from a need you have to tell somebody, a need you have to change somebody, that kind of thing.
And by the air, of course I mean the wind. And by the wind, I mean the wind blowing in the direction I'm standing. And I'm sorry that I never paid attention in those sailor movies where they said never spit into the wind, because sure enough, Mom blows right back at me. And by back at me, I mean back at my face. And by my face, I mean my nose and my mouth. And of course my face was all wet and weepy, so Mom sticks to it and I inhale with horror.
Koury, really nice. Really, really nice. I liked yours quite a bit. Once again, very castable, which is fantastic in this world, particularly right now. For all of you. Hollywood's a young place, so all of you are young. Get out there now while you got a chance. I would like to have seen you be a little more energetic at the top. This is a pretty terrible, funny thing that happened to you, but it kind of starts, and I just went, I got to bed, I took Mom's ashes, you know, so here's what happened. You're not going to believe what I'm going to tell you. And also another misdirect is in there, where like, then I threw it in there, and yep, right in my face. Enter the scenes a little more energy, and once again, this applies to auditioning specifically, and in work when you're on the set, etc. But in audition, you really, you know, those first moments are really important. Sometimes it's your slate, but many times it's just you. And we don't want them to like have any reason to fast forward right away. So in a nutshell, Koury, really nice work. Once again, very believable. I would mine, I keep using that word, mine for the nuggets in the speech, in the monologue, to find those moments to misdirect, to build it, to the horror of what just happened to you, you know. Once again, all coming from a real place, which I think you can do. You felt very natural and real, but oomph, a little bit.
And the third woman who sits under the toadstool only says, beware. That's all she says, beware. I mean, you'd think they could figure out something else for her to say. Look out! Maybe even, watch out behind you! Don't turn around or you'll see the worst thing you've ever seen in your life. My father says that everyone has to start someplace. He says that even Dustin Hoffman started out by playing parts with only 1 or 2 lines. And Dustin Hoffman never complained. Dustin Hoffman just went out there and did it. So I started thinking of my line. If I only get to say one word, I might as well make sure it's going to be the one word everyone remembers.
Sarah. Funny, good stuff. Once again, very great energy, very likable on camera. The actual monologue itself, I want to see more of a little bit of a journey in that you are explaining your situation that I didn't get what I wanted, and but here's what I'm going to do about it. And either I don't think the monologue lends itself to it, but it'd be great to find a way to discover that in the monologue, as opposed to like already knowing this is where it's going. But I believe you're telling a story that's already happened. But even in that, you can kind of relive it, of like, I was like really depressed, but then I realized I can do this, and then you tell us what this is. And you gave yourself that problem with the monologue of just having to say the same word many, many different times, and you did a great job making a variety of choices there, which needs to be done because we want to see that. So good variety of that. One thing a fun thing I think you might be able to do is imitate your dad. I mean, not like go do a big impression, but just like my dad's blah 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 blah. My dad said, okay, give it a little something, a little more personality and fun thing that this character is. I hope that's helpful, guys. Once again, really nice job by everybody. I've been asked to give notes, so I did. Those are some things that came to mind. In general, once again, make things come from you as best you can. I don't want you to be putting on a big character. I mean, if you're playing Godzilla, I guess you got to be a monster, all that kind of thing. With comedy particularly, you got to work on timing. You got to understand where the jokes are in the script, okay? Bottom line, that's one of your first chores. But on top of that, find other moments that you can possess and create and make fun or interesting or something, and nobody else has done that. And you're not doing it because nobody else has done it. I want you to find them because it feels right to you and it feels real to you. And I think that's it. Boy, I went on a long time. So anyway, I look forward to seeing you on the show. And congratulations, everybody, for submitting. And congratulations for getting to the top. Was 7 or 8 was sent to me to pick from. So there's a big victory in that for you guys too. So take that away from this. Congratulations, you were heroic in auditioning, and go get them. Break a leg. Bye.